The pressure is building. When it happens, it's gonna catch everyone off guard. The red line here is global liquidity and the blue line is Bitcoin. And it's very well established that these two are very strongly correlated. Bitcoin continues to flirt with its all-time high of 112K. And if we were to predict where things are headed using this chart, the most recent global liquidity data places Bitcoin at just under 194K. And when does it say that could happen? At the tail end of September. This exact chart sequence is one of the reasons why analysts are predicting a 200K Bitcoin by the end of the year. And yes, I know September is far away, but we're going to see momentum build before then. It already has been. Trueflation, which is a real-time measure of the US inflation index, is showing inflation trending significantly under the Fed's target of 2%. And they're now expected to start cutting interest rates by September. This is the final piece of the puzzle before things could go absolutely parabolic. Lower interest rates mean cheaper borrowing and more money for spending and investing. And we all know how this story goes. The money flows into Bitcoin first, and then it flows into Ethereum. And after that, we see altcoins reach incredible new heights. This index then starts to show that we're moving into a full-blown alt season. And if we're talking altcoins, there's no way you can ignore XRP. Whether you're part of the XRP army or have written it off as a dinosaur coin, what I'm about to reveal in this video may shock you. First, we're going to get into some breaking news, then I'm going to go into some technical analysis on the XRP chart. That's where we're going to see some major warning signs. And finally, I'm going to keep it real with you guys and give you my true thesis on XRP. By the end of this video, you're going to be equipped to win every single XRP debate that you get into. So hit the like button and let's jump right into it. First, we had Ripple drop its appeal against the SEC. Then we had the SEC approve Grayscale's multi-token ETF that included XRP. Then the SEC announced that it was streamlining its processes to speed up ETF approvals. All of that boosted the approval odds for XRP spot ETFs to close to 100% by the end of the year. So we're bound to see all of these pending applications switch over to active very, very soon. There's been over $1 trillion of volume through Bitcoin ETF so far this year. So there's no doubt that it'll have a strong impact on XRP. But there's a lot more going on than just lawsuits and ETFs. Ripple has now officially applied for a US banking license. And CEO Brad Garlinghouse has testified before the US Senate Banking Committee on crypto legislation. But the next one is one of the biggest developments for XRP this year. Trump's Truth Social just filed for a crypto blue chip ETF that features Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, Kronos, and you guessed it, XRP. It's official. They filed an S1 on July 8th for an ETF that tracks the performance of these 5 cryptos. It'll be 70% Bitcoin, 15% Ethereum, 8% Solana, 5% Kronos, and 2% XRP. And while 2% might sound small, the important thing here is that XRP made it to this exclusive group of 5 coins. This ETF filing is a major milestone, marking one of the first US listed ETFs to include XRP. This boosts its mainstream visibility and the Trump brand could attract retail investors. Not to mention the fact that this increases the standalone XRP ETF approval odds. Now, before I get to the next piece of news, which is arguably even bigger, I have one quick thing for all you crypto traders out there. I always get asked about my favorite exchange to use, and the truth is, I don't have one. There's too many hacks and downtimes to just rely on a single platform. Even exchanges like Coinbase have major outages all the time. That's why I use over 10 exchanges. And one of my main ones is WEEX. They have some of the lowest fees in the game, and getting started is as easy as signing up with an email. Check out my link down below for a 200 USDT bonus and a chance to earn up to 30,000 USDT in rewards. With that being said, let's get back to XRP. So here's the final punch for today when it comes to news. Just days ago, Mercado Bitcoin, one of the top Latin American crypto exchanges, announced plans to tokenize $200 million of real-world assets on the XRP ledger. We already know how big the RWA niche is set to be. Billions and billions and billions of dollars in assets are going to be represented on chain. There's a bunch of things that this partnership highlights. It uses the XRP ledger's low fees, instant settlement, and security that can bridge South America and Europe. All of this just reinforces the trust that institutions have in XRP and its ability to become one of the leaders when it comes to international payments. Now, all of this news is great, and we see fresh headlines related to XRP every single day. But I want you to remember that following the news just isn't enough. If you're part of the XRP army, you should be able to also understand the chart and have a basic understanding of technical analysis. So let's jump into the chart. Here we're on the WEEX exchange. They have TradingView built right into the exchange. And you can expand the chart and you have all of the tools that you need. If you're new to this, the most basic way to get started is to choose a time period and draw some trend lines on the peaks and valleys. I'm going to start from June and track the tops and bottoms of each candle. It looks like an arrow pointing to the right or somewhat of a triangle. You can use a cheat sheet like this to figure out what you're looking at and then use tools like ChatGPT or Grok to help you make sense of what they signal. In this case, we're looking at an ascending triangle, which is a bullish continuation pattern. From early June to now, we can see that the top trend line is relatively flat. The price keeps getting rejected at that same level, but the bottom line is rising, showing higher lows. This means that buyers are stepping in earlier each time, and there's also some compression happening here. The trading range is getting more and more narrow, which is why the lines are convening to form the triangle. Compression means that the pressure is building and momentum is building under resistance. There's two things that can happen here. If the price continues to break out past the line with strong volume, then we have a bullish breakout. But if it can't break, then it could trigger a fake out and we might see a short-term drop. But generally, this is a pattern you'll typically see before a bullish breakout, especially after consolidation period like we've had. And there's some basic TA for you on the XRP chart. And of course, I encourage all of you to give it a try for yourself. And if you're finding any of this helpful or insightful and want to go deeper down the rabbit hole, then you should definitely consider joining me in the FireHustle VIP Discord. I'm there every single day talking to all of you and working with my team to deliver some of the best crypto education, market updates, macro analysis, technical analysis, portfolio updates, and a lot more. So check out the link down below if you're interested. Now, so far we've talked about the qualitative elements of XRP and have confirmed some bullish potential with technical analysis. Both of these are important because just relying on one of them means that you're blind to the other. But the best thing that you can do with each and every project that you're looking at is to build your very own thesis around it. So I'm going to give you my absolutely unfiltered thesis on XRP. But before I do, just a reminder. This video is for educational purposes only and is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. Crypto is risky, so do your own research and make decisions at your own risk. And with that being said, let's get to the thesis. So today, XRP is the third largest crypto by market cap, and if we're only talking about altcoins, it's in the top 2. And when we look at the difference in market caps, Ethereum is just more than 2 times as big. Overall, this puts XRP in a strong position because it's established as a blue chip. My XRP thesis is mostly built around the exposure and access to XRP. It's already very obvious that XRP doesn't have the most cutting edge, zero knowledge proof blockchain technology. There's a lot of projects out there that are way more ahead when it comes to that, but they're light years behind when it comes to the market position and exposure. When brand new retail investors come to crypto, here's exactly what they do. They go to a website like CoinGecko and they start to go down the list of the top cryptocurrencies. They'll probably recognize Bitcoin and Ethereum. But as they go down that list, they'll take notice of XRP, BNB, Solana, and other top cryptos. Those are the coins that they'll start to research and look into. And with introduction of ETFs, a big portion of these investors will only have access to cryptos with ETFs since they'll be going through their brokerage accounts. When they start to research, they'll see that Ripple is partnered with hundreds and hundreds of financial institutions across the globe. And they'll also see that the network is extremely secure, fast, and cheap when compared to super slow systems that banks are used to today, like Swift. We can apply the same thinking to institutional investors. Institutions are drawn to top blue chip cryptos because of their established market position. Most institutions are very risk averse. They want relatively stable and attractive investments for their portfolios. Yes, there's a bunch of cutting edge tech funds out there that go down the crypto rabbit hole and invest in all kinds of projects, but that's not the majority. So for everyone dubbing XRP as a dinosaur coin, you might be right when it comes to the tech, but you can't deny that it's going to be a big player in this market. Now, the fact that XRP is a massive blue chip naturally means that multiples will be on the lower end of the spectrum. So you also need to set your expectations in reality rather than emotion. You have to consider how high the total crypto market cap can go this cycle and how much of that XRP can capture. When the market peaked about 7 months ago, the total market cap was around 3 trillion. XRP captured about 6% of that. If we think that the total crypto market cap can reach 10 trillion, that means XRP can reach a market cap of 600 billion, assuming it maintains a 6% share. That's about 4.5 times the current price. But the reality is these proportions almost never stay consistent. That's because altcoins have the ability to outperform outperform others in the market based on certain factors. Factors like exposure, access, and inflows from retail and institutional investors. So my point here was to give you a framework for thinking and to get the gears turning. So although there's a ton of bullish news and a lot of analysis can be done, I want you to also form an investment thesis of your own. How far do you think XRP will go? And what are some of the biggest factors that you think will drive it? Are there any major risks or flaws that you're considering? I read every single comment, so make sure you drop your thoughts down below. When it comes to crypto, nothing is guaranteed and anything can happen. The best we can do is educate ourselves and keep a pulse on news in the markets. Be patient, but also be diligent at the same time. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on post notifications to know exactly when I drop my next video. Everything in crypto is extremely time sensitive, so you have to stay on top of the latest news and analysis. And if you're interested in learning more about projects that I'm watching closely, then come and join me in the FireHustle Discord. You can find the link in the description below. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next one.